Miss Rita. If you want to follow the business page, it's Miss Pathologist to those who are new to it, okay? Yes, at this second, I'm making me a good old fruitfulness. Cucumbers and some tomatoes. All right. So, for somebody, like I said, there are situations in life that you will always go through and experience. Some of the stuff that I've been looking to upload on the TikTok, like I said, is just moving super, super slow. I made it clear that there will be an investigation at the hotel that I was staying in at the day's end. Because for somebody, once you move out of the area, most of the time when God needs you to move, He gonna have you move, baby. It's no ifs, ands, buts about it. There's nothing that you can do to try to get around it, because it's like I learned a long time ago, and even though it was hard, because I have that capability where I could be stubborn on some things, especially if I just, it's like I'll get super stubborn, especially when I need to make sure I'm understanding what it is that it's the movement. Now, granted, when it's God's movement, I didn't understand for a little bit, but when God wants you to move, it's certain things that He gonna do for you, baby. Even if it's, I gotta get you slapped in your face for you to understand to get out of this space, because I'm trying to do something so I can give you your blessing, right? And some people, you will start to learn, and some people with it, like for me, I knew a long time ago, stay away from those folks that just got to be so gun-ho. Oh, God, the Lord, and want to cling to the Bible and try to utilize that Bible against people, because most of the time, those are the people who doing the most torture. I learned that a long time ago. Because when you learn to understand, some people cling to that Bible because they still ain't ever accepted the fact that, hey, back in the day, you was the worst drug dealer, the worst gang member, the shoot, some of them on them pulpits, if you really ask, they used to get cash for tags. And if you don't understand what that means, that you just don't get it, right? Also, you understand that some of them used to be the worst drug addicts. Some of them prophetess, them evangelists, them deaconess, the biggest 304s and lot lizards you will ever know. But would they ever try to convince themselves to go ahead and to admit it? Because some of them, they come from the 60s and 70s. You be quiet. They program them. And what goes on in the home, you keep it in the home, versus, hey, let's go ahead and confront Uncle Ed, because Uncle Ed, everybody knew way back in the day, Uncle Ed used to like to touch on them kids, right? But who was the trusted adults? Oh, Granny used to keep it. No, Granny used to try to keep y'all together, to sweep under the rug what was really going on in the home. And instead of you pinpointing, say, hey, I ain't like that my siblings do this. I ain't like that my brothers do this. Even in kingdom times, okay? Even in kingdom times, when them siblings used to do that and they were in rulership, either you exile, or what did they do, especially to the men, they would castrate them. You weren't gonna procreate, you weren't gonna do nothing. And even if you got the desire, you ain't got no tools to even to act on those desires. Which I feel like you honestly could bring that back, and that'll cut down on all of that, because these kids are our future. You know what I'm saying? And then you had folks that had troubles and struggles of confronting, like, dang, I did, like, people, the main big group, you'll see people from the 50s all the way up to like the first half of the 80s be like, I ain't gonna talk to them people. Baby, sometimes going to the psychiatrist or psychologist is just to get you on the path and the journey to be able to redirect your mind or your brain to do it. Now, granted, some people in poverty, when they did do it, they used to use that as a weapon and tool against people from lower income, from poverty. But most of the time, those who did end up going were those who had put on to know, like, hey, I do want to do better. I gotta do better. Shit, Ben Carson was a prime example. But however, I did have a rebuttal on this situation, because when I watched the movie, and then it went from, his mama, being uneducated and stuff like that, which allowed me to know to, like, well, let me better observe Ben Carson. I don't have no problem with it, but let me go ahead and better observe. And then it was this one part of the scene, because I think it was Kimberly Elise who played the mom, right? And then it was that part where he was in the kitchen, and she was like, what are you doing? And he's got big and bold, feeling like he can overrun his mama. it was talking crazy to it. It was like ever since then his brother went along with it, but his brother was his protector. The brother was actually the real fighter. He was just the person that used his brain, that knew how to manipulate, aka who understood like, oh, I'm intelligent and I'm gonna use my intelligence to insult other people's intelligence. They don't realize that I insulted their intelligence, but also at the same time, it showed by that time when he was 13, he did not have any respect for his mom and not understand like, hey, mama was a single parent. She went out here to do what she could do. She was cleaning houses. She could have been out there doing 304, but she worked and cleaned houses. And how he had spoke to his mom, because he was like, oh, well, I can't be wearing clothes for the thrift store and da-da-da-da. So you was more concerned about your image. So that allowed me to know, just off of that piece of the movie alone, okay, his character based on who he is now, guess what? Bravado. Okay, this is someone who can pay people off. You know what I'm saying? And then when I had to sit there and do this, this is also leading into the case and clue when it comes to black people in the community and they feel like they can do certain things. For somebody, this person's going to, in particular, they're going to be asking for immunity like, huh? I made a post on TikTok, but of course, like I said, when you got to figure out who's your stalker, I'm going to post all this stuff up here on how you can find people via Google of where the hacker is, who they paying to go ahead to track your phones, track your emails and stuff like that. It's too easy to figure it out because for someone, they may have tried to insult your intelligence again. This is like someone that could be a neuroscience and it's like, well, I know how the brain operates. I know how black people brains operate because someone utilized the fact that for black and Hispanic people, we have been the biggest mystery, but not included in history, as well as we're not fully adapted in medical. So when you go to the hospital, it's already set up to be biased against you. So you can go in and you're severely in pain, but medically by the book, your pain is not acknowledged. It shouldn't be acknowledged. With Trump removing the 1965 Act out of place, now guess what? Those doctors who want to really be racist with you and utilize you, they got the grounds to do so with him removing that. But like I said, it's going to have to come back intact with that. And so most of the time, them utilizing that law in that way allowed them to utilize to play with a lot of people. Right now, a lot of people that are getting attacked, you are probably part of the spiritual community. You probably do tarot. You probably do oracle. For me, I'm a pure channeler. I don't ever really need the cards, but however, I just use it for the verification or the confirmation with what it is that I'm channeling. Now, most of the time, do I get screamed at by my own spirit team? Like, hey, you don't need that because what you're picking up on is accurate, precise, and to the point. Is that most of the people who have done this attack are now realizing that, hey, we just jeopardized national security. What's the prime example of this? There's prime ministers that's been involved in this. There are people that are working with hospitals, lawyers, doctors on very big conglomerate levels. And they're like, how are you picking up this information? You're violating and you're impeding in my own personal privacy. So of course, I'm going to pick up on all the things that you're not doing or illegally doing in fire departments, hospitals, law departments, judicial systems. I don't have to physically be there, but considering, like I said, y'all are within that radius, the 100-mile radius of me, and you're impeding. So regardless, if you flew to Puerto Rico, I'm still going to pick you up. Virgin Islands, I'm going to pick you up. You want to know why? We are connected via Orishas. Orishas will, tell on you. So if you playing in, Brujeria, or you're playing with Orishas, you're playing with Ogun, you're playing with Odin, you're playing with the Vikings thing, that requires for someone to not even have the audacity or the capacity to know, like, hey, I did at least do ancestry, or I did do this. And even though that they don't give you the full accuracy, because if they give you full accuracy, that allows you to code even more information. So some people, as you see, Ancestry 123, they were manipulating certain people's DNA because some of you people are indigenous. Some of the black people, the Gullah Geechee, Mississippi Delta, Carolinas, Georgias, the Gullah Geechee people. They are the black Native Americans. So, of course, you create another divide when it comes to the actual Native Americans, and you're looking at more of the history of what it is why Native Americans stick to their spiritual practices, right? So this is like people, wow, we can hire these spiritual people because they will outrank them. No, none of them will. You want to know why? Because of all free will that people have. Some of you have free will, some of you don't. You know, when they do this, that Hitler thing, that is, if I had to elaborately explain that to a lot of people and I had to get on national television to explain that, a lot of people will be under my control. A lot of people who still, Elon Musk, I highly suggest you quit mentioning that man's name, because every time that he go ahead and, yeah, he's doing that when he go to his Tesla people. Guess what? All he did when he did this, and even Hitler, how he was able to do that, even Stalin, how he was able to do that, that is called part of the shank, and it's a religious, spiritual, sacral thing that you can do energetically. When you're doing this, that is the energetic pull. So meaning those people who are not really in tune, or people who are asleep, guess what? Every time that I do this, oh, Hitler, you're not really doing anything. A lot of people got the misconception, because granted, is Nazi Hitler associated with racism? Most people, yes. But if you actually really dug in and picked up a book, I think the book was dated from 1113 AD or 1113 BC. One of the two, but it's also a third book that when you pick up and you read about it, it's based off of the Indian practice. Now, if you go to India or Hindu practice, that is the oldest, most ancient practice that most people are not able to tap in. But it's another one that most people are not able to get into. And reason being why you ever had an understanding why China, Korea, and Japan, Vietnam, and why they always want y'all to stay at bay, why they always want to just do that versus shake your hand, it's a reason for that. It's a very huge reason for that. Me choosing to reveal that again will lead to another issue with national security. Reason being why my case in point, when it comes to somebody that keeps violating that, so I know for a fact you are part of government saying it because you have confidential access to something. I should not be able to pull up what they're doing in a Pentagon. I should not know what you're doing in your federal office, government, Senate, police department, sheriff department. I should not know how you're doing that. You want to know how I now know that? Because you guys keep impeding in my privacy, and now it's part of national security and suppressing views, but you keep allowing these people to work in these groups to mention my name, put my picture on the black web, which is even worse to your national security, which I have been the person that y'all been looking for more than over 30 plus years. But within the last 10 years of you having to follow me and investigate me, you're realizing like, God damn, what did we do? What did we do? Case in clue, now we're in a tariff situation, right? You wanted to do global reset in the system. You choosing to do so, knowing that half of your people, you can't even properly get rid of the genocide properly, because there's a proper way to do the genocide. Because if I was the president, hey, there's a proper way to do it. It's some people that don't want to push away from the table. It's people that keep want to run into the hospital. Hey, guess what? Case in point, if I was going to go ahead and use the Manifesto 2025 to go ahead and do that genocide, to go ahead to do the gentrification, to go ahead to do a proper or appropriate redlining, but not necessarily a racial redlining, it just would be based off of cultural. Hey, I will be a little bit smarter than how I would do it versus, hey, I want to keep trying to assert my power on this way. But however, the biggest thing to do and say on this, now you have an issue with Mexico. Now we have an issue with South America. This is way bigger than just chasing and trying to shut down one black girl that has more of the accuracy and precise information about a church or a charity. You think I give a shit about Paula White? No, but that bitch been going really hard with the rest of her crew, with the help of Carla Dawkins, with the help of Sheila Rawls, with the help of Patrick Monique Luter, with the help of Johnny Luter, because in order for you to be able to do so, you would need people who were associated or affiliated with me that call themselves family to get away with those things, to structuralize. Hey, let's figure out what's the weakness of this person. Let's structuralize and figure out what makes them sad. You taking away my children? Okay. It might be a bigger purpose behind it, because if I had to do that and utilize that with the first child that you did that to, if I also already had to process what it was already like to do the A word, going to the clinic on Wednesday. That's the best way I could say it. Going to a clinic on a Wednesday. I did that one time in my life. I ain't ever do that again. Have I had it done to me involuntarily? Yes. 3 times I've had that done to me involuntarily. And one of them was through the Veterans Affairs. Twice. Okay. So when I had to go ahead and understand, because it's like, hey, well, we need access to her DNA. We need access to her tissue, because if they get access to my tissue, now they can utilize, are you reptilian? Are you a half breed? Are you this? Reptilians is a real thing. It's been around for centuries. Why else would they have talked about 1954 of UFO invasions? It's a real thing. We don't talk about anything on television that is not real. Anyone that's real and actually have common sense and actually have a true level of intelligence will know anything that you watch on television must be written off by the CIA, FBI, and the president itself before you can publish it. Piedmont, Waynesboro, Lionsgate, all those companies are all intertwined to some of your local stuff in your states. California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, you name it. Most of the time, any medication that you take, you want to know why I said that I can talk on when it comes to psychiatrists, psychologists. I had 2 of the top psychiatrists and psychologists do their research on me. Again, I have zero problem with dropping names, because the simple fact, because it's my experience, it's been my life, and this is what it is, and this is how it works out. I would love to save as many people as possible to understand, step back, self-reflect. This is how it works. When you're under attack, you can move away from the attack, because guess what? Most of the people who are attacking you, they don't have this. They're programmed to do it. They have this they try to create cognitive dissonance within yourself, because they're sure of themselves when they're doing illegal surveillance. They're sure of themselves when they're okay with putting you on black web when you're changing your clothes, brushing your teeth, washing your shit. You could be walking around scratching your butt. You could be sitting there digging in yourself, or whatever the case may be. They're getting a real kick out of it. Like, look at their hygiene. Look at how they live. Look at how this is. But did anybody bother to say, hey, we should help this person. We should stop. But I can guarantee you, every person that ever has done anything at this point, they lost someone. Car issues. They've been reprimanded. They're having issues in their marriages. They're having issues with their children. I can guarantee you. I can guarantee it. Now, will they tell anybody in the public? No. But that stress on their face tell you everything. Most of the time, when it comes to people moving like this, the group will become more aggressive. It's just basic common sense. It's basic psychology of how it works. Whenever people feel that they can't get over on you, this is like, call Dr. Phil. I don't give a fuck. Call Dr. Phil. Call Dr. Karami. I don't care. But the fact of the facts are, most of the time when people are choosing to do certain things as this, and they feel like they're not getting over it, they'll get more aggressive. It's the facts. When you are a person of color, their aggressiveness they'll start pressing even more. You get more people, you'll hear more people circulating with helicopters. You'll get more noise controls. You'll have people that are paid in every area. So trust and believe 2 weeks before you get ready to make your next move. 2 days. They're watching everything that you watch. If you have Google and Google is your only go-to, Microsoft, you have a little bit of a leeway. If you got to utilize Google is their go-to to go ahead and utilize most Americans. Most Americans have a Google account. You ever heard when you talk to a doctor or something like that, or you go online and they ask you, yeah, what's your email or what's your telephone number? And you get ready to tell them, oh yeah, I have Hotmail or I have Yahoo. And they be like, you still use those? Case in clue, it's like minimum little conversations or dialects or words that these people will use to allow you to know, hey, I'm a part of this, but you don't know, but you shouldn't know. Because if you're not self-aware, you won't be aware. So self-awareness is more or less to know, like, hey, this has been my life. This has been in my experience. In my experience, from what I have seen, I can't speak on other people, but you know your own life situation. Most self-awareness goes out and about, hey, my experience, the more traumatized you are, the easier you can capable of being in a targeted situation. Easier for them to abuse you. Easier to utilize you. Shoot, it is very true. You can brainwash anyone to do an unaliving. It's very easy. You can utilize someone and manipulate the brain to cause them to do things for you, right? You can persuade any kind of conversation. If the person is not self-aware of themselves, you can persuade any conversation to go your way. So easy. I did it. And they were like, no, because the key and clue was to create a cognitive dissonance to make it seem as everything that I speak on, she's going to have to go sit back and second guess, because guess what? When she said that she couldn't get her license in her, like, my weapons license, I can use that as a prime example, right? Me going ahead to set this up, right? They still would have to conceal that there was any type of case with my name. So meaning when they run the background check and it goes federal, right? Mind you, I should have already got my license, my carry to conceal license. I should have been got it. Now with it being a delay, and every time that I went back to go check, just to follow up on it, it has 90 days, which allowed me to know cognitively, because mind you, they're looking to create a cognitive dissonance for me to be like, we have to make her feel insecure. We have to make her feel like she's not safe. We have to make her feel as if what she's saying and she's doing is not what's happening. We will have to send in those sheriffs or those police to go knock on her doors to assure her that everything's okay. Not knowing, like I said, when you are in micro and macro situations, you will know the macro aggression and you will know the micro aggression in most people. And most people, even if basic conversation, you can tell which side that they're on. There's no different as if when you day trade, you ever understand why they have bullish and bearish? It's no different than day trading, stocks, you name it, anything in life. I learned when I was 14 years old, in order to start a business, you must know what a family unit is. You must know how to run it, what's the source of it, and things. This was something that was based off of, this is even before a novel came out. This is even before Silva's theories came out. This is even way before any of them had these type of things. You can even look at the Mason theory. You can look at all these other theories. I've read them. And it was years ago, because guess what? They never paid attention to what I was doing. You think my family gave a shit about what I was reading? No. The only thing they knew was I was quiet and I was hid away from the public. All they knew was that, hey, they can carry on whatever narrative they wanted to. The biggest narrative that they try to carry on, which was a huge lie until this, ever since that they knew that I figured out the lie that they've told a lot of people to be able to carry out what it was that they were, was that Carla and Kiera were the main corporate. Sheila, if she's the supposed mom, how are you someone's mom and you're standing in the background allowing all this shit to go around and this, I'm supposed to be your child, Sheila. Make it make sense, because any logical person that's a parent is not going to sit there and be like, shit, you put my child's name in a room full of people that I know if I told them that that your child is an abuser or touch on children or abuse children, or they're not good for babysitting, they're not good for childcare, guess what? And then this person end up having a lot of children, and then you go on and take on that narrative to say, yeah, she abuses her children, she neglects her children for men, she does this. But if you step back and utilize and you watch them, the major thing in this situation, but why does this child refuse to want to have a relationship with you, Sheila? Now, Carla and Shane, that's a given. She's supposed to be an aunt or whatever the case may be. But Sheila Deshawn Ross, make it make sense to the public. Why would this child refuse to want to be in your care? I don't know. Let's go ahead and look at the movie Precious, right? Y'all seen I feel like everyone in the world seen the movie Precious. But the only difference in that situation for Precious was actually a bit illiterate. She didn't really have the sources to understand life. It wasn't until Mariah Carey playing as the social worker, actually hearing the in-depth of this girl's story and realizing like this was incest. So you end up having to carry these kids of your father, or you end up having to have the kids, and then her child came out with Down syndrome. Then she had another child that had another issue, right? No one sits back and really utilize as social workers, as doctors. You can tell which people are really there for their jobs, and you can tell who's there for the paycheck. You can tell. You can tell the difference. The person who's really there for that job and really love what they do, I'm going to review every little bit of your medical record, your mental health record. I'm looking down to what's your environment, what you have been subjected to. I'm looking at all of that. I can care less about your religion, your race, or any of those things. Now, granted, is it very important in certain factors? Yes, it is. That's why most of the medical things have to be updated. It's no different than most of the records in the law system have to be updated. There's so many people locked up or in prison that are based off of some rules from 1932. Some people are locked up from rules from 1960. We were still in segregations, babes. So there was even bigger issues that you come in. Social work, was it created? 1970s. When the 1970s hit, guess what? What was the biggest go-to for people to go ahead and get kids? The Black, the Hispanic, and every other nationality. They came for y'all, right? So up into the 80s, that's when we got the crack epidemic. Free game at that point. So mainly you saw more of the crimes. You saw gangs and organizations getting built in 1970, right? Black Panther movement. You had people becoming Rolling 60s, Bloods, you name it, the Chicano crew, because everybody had to go ahead and unite. Everybody had to go ahead and create family. Why? Because even before 1960, cocaine, sugar booger, the dust was the biggest thing. So most of the time, these parents were figuring out ways to how to cope with their drugs and their habits. And guess what? Most of the time, those people who were born in those years from 1950 to 1979, most of those kids had to sit there and watch their parents go ahead and be on very hard drugs. Most of those kids, and especially if they end up having the parent had to be in the military or the parents had to disappear from the home, guess what were they doing whenever they started having children at 15, 16, 17 years old? Those kids that they were having because they were still dealing with traumas and abuses, and of course, psychology and psychiatry wasn't offered to them at that time. Guess what they were doing? Every time that those women from the 1950s to the 1979, guess what they were doing with their kids, especially with their daughters? They needed that fix. They needed that sugar booger. They needed that rock. What were they doing? Kids would be 5, 10, 12, 17 years old. But if you love your mama, go ahead and do this for me. For some of them, in my situation, in my life, they were serial unalivers. So people are figuring out, like, how do you know how? I know how it goes. Most of the time, the big hitters will watch those four. It'll be up to 4 to 40 people that they will watch as you grow up. Hey, that one right there, they daughter real smart. I remember going over there trying to go ahead and get my rocks off real quick, and I heard that kid talking about some math. Oh, they be mathing. So guess what? Now you're the favorite person of the dope dealer or the lord or the kingpin or the mafia, because why? That kid was super smart. So guess what they were going to do over those years? Your mama and them got a stipend for over the years. And depending on who they slept with, doctors, lawyers, police officers, or whatever, and they felt that your mama or your dad was their favorite, guess what they were doing? And it used to happen over the 80s before they end up created around 74 where they were able to do clinical research on communities, Black communities, Hispanic communities. It's a lot of people that still work in these jobs and don't even realize that, hey, yeah, your boss, the one that you send to not have a very good relationship with or rapport with, yeah, he's part of a program unbeknownst to you. And even though y'all are in the same program, he's just in that program just to see what you're going to do. That's just why, like how everything crumbled. It's like, why are you so calm? Because I already know how it works. I know the ins and out. I know down to the point of who they know which kids that they can get to. Oh, when they kid turns 16, Oh, I'm gonna go to their school and offer the new the Delta gyms, or I'm gonna offer, you know, the debutante scholarship. I'm gonna offer you from the Omega scholarships, right? I'm gonna give you one from the Shriner scholarships. Cause why? They saw your kid had the greatest fucking potential. Yeah, I'm gonna invest in them to go to college. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure they become a fucking doctor. You wanna know why? Because that doctor watched their mom be the biggest drug dealer, kingpin, pimps, all of this. They saw all of this. So they know the ins and outs of how it takes to manipulate all of those people. They know what it takes. Why? Because they grew up with it. That's why it's too easy to tell, even though they can sit there like, hi, how are you? This is the greatest day. How's your day going? It seems like it's a very exuberant day today, right? I can use all the biggest words in the world, but still have the capability to want to manipulate you. I can still have the capability to go work in that hospital, be the director of the hospital at that. But unbeknownst to my whole staff, they don't know your background. The only thing they know is, like with Carla, yeah, she had that big old thing and it was a biggest red flag. But if I can look past that because you grew up in Lawton, Oklahoma, over there in Southwest at the Votech to go ahead and get your LP in, for you to go ahead and get your BS in, and then now you're going ahead and get your nursing practitioner. But no one knew her full life before Carla became that nurse practitioner. Did they? No one knew Sheila's life before she became the person in pharmacy. No one knew Georgetta's life, but Georgetta kept it low key. She's okay with how she gets Social Security. She's okay getting, if we go ahead and go in details. Patrick, you're okay. Didn't you do a 10-year bid? So you definitely got turned out in prison. You definitely got turned out in prison. You definitely got HIV or syphilis, if not herpes, in that prison. Any man that does a bid over 4 years, he got something. He got turned out. He tossing salad. It ain't no ifs, ands, buts about it. We are not having, it's not up for debate. It's the facts, it's the statistics. Now, will they publicly report it? No, we just got to figure out who's dumb and have a low self-esteem enough to go ahead and deal with those. Because a man that even if he did a 10, 20-year bid and he don't want to go back to that, he's going to show you in every which way, hey, that ain't for me. I ain't even fit to touch it. I ain't fit to get involved. I'm not, you not, there's no money that you can give me. Even if they wanted to start a ministry, they would be like, I'm good. You can tell the difference of people who love what they do and who's doing it for the paycheck. Again, case in point, and I'm making every point valid, and somebody sitting here like, uncross your chest. You can choose to be mad all day. I need you to know, anytime a person is doing something like this towards you, they're not listening to you. They're listening. They can hear you. And when they doing this like this, and it's like, they're hearing you and they're listening to you. They're just more pissed off at the fact that you're right. Especially if their feet are towards you and they got their arms crossed just like this. They hear you. They're listening to you. They're just pissed off that you're right. You ever had an issue with whenever it's time for you to go talk to HR or to your boss or something like that? Trust and believe your boss or that CEO or that manager has watched you for a long time. They know you do your job. They know you're great at what the fuck you do. But guess what? It's pissing them off because you know more than them. And most of the time, most people in corporations, you'll watch them take every bit of idea that you have, every bit of knowledge that you have, and they're going into the meeting that you're not included into and giving it to the boss. Now, granted, will they be able to elaborate it and be able to execute it fully? No, but guess what? I guarantee you're their new favorite pet. Class pet, is that what they call them? Or you're the new lap dog, like, yeah, let's go to dinner, let's go to lunch. Yeah, can you tell me more about that? The only reason why they want you to tell them more because CEO and the boss is asking them more for information. But they need it from you. It's no different from a lot of people in political positions. It's a lot of people that work for sheriff departments, police departments, law departments that come to me. They come to here. They come right here. Will they get my credit? No. Because half of it, because why? I'm this color. And they just so happen to be this color or Hispanic at this point. This is not my first time of having a run-in with the government. This is not my first time having an issue with people in Senate. The only reason why the Demings end up getting their position because the ritual that was done for them when I was, maybe about 14, 15? That was like between 2003 and 2006 when they did that ritual for them so they can get promoted. Someone's like, how do you know all of this? It's not a secret, hun. It's no secret. Because it's always things for you to, it's always good for you whenever you have children, allow them to explore it. Support your children. Those people that tend to not support their children, guess what? Rogue. They go rogue. They go rogue. They're going to go against the parents. And now the parents, I can't control them. You can't control who they date. You can't control who they love. You can't control where they're going to go. It's not for you to do that. And you choosing to do that, that's why you keep getting them to rebel. That's why it's like, damn, you let I allow my children to be who they are. They're allowed to express themselves, especially my daughters. Somebody be like, I remember even when they were trying to report the fact when I'm talking on the Google Meets, like I said, like I figured out who it was. Because I'm going to go ahead and post where they are. They in like Palm Beach, Delray, whatever, in that area, okay? Boca Raton, that's been in my phone on the Google and stuff like that. Because it's like, damn, how's she supposed to know we in the Key West and shit like this doing this? Because you're stupid. You using a college graduate? I didn't have to go to college to understand computers. I understood computers at 14. I just didn't have the support or the people or the way to figure out how to do those applications. Doing hair and nails, that could have been just a side hustle for me when I was like 13 to 16 years old, which my aunt didn't feel that it was prevalent for me to do it because she needed Kiara to go ahead and be that focal point at that time. Kiara is the biggest fuck up outside of Courtney. Courtney just fucking up because she just want to be loved. Poor Courtney. I want to feel bad for her, but shit, she participated in the shit too, being stupid. But hey, you can't help stupid. You really can't help stupid. You can't. You can only help those who want to help themselves to do fucking better. Most of the time, people get mad at me because I'm the last person that you should ever fucking come to if you do not want the harsh reality and the truth, because I have zero reason to lie to you about who I am, what it is that I do. I don't have to do voodoo or none of this shit. I light a candle for my fucking peace and serenity. That is a natural thing that anybody can fucking do. It's for self, not for anybody else. It's not, oh, you doing money rituals. You put somebody's name on this and that. For fucking what? It's a waste of time. But if I wanted to, and we go to half the people who are sitting here trying to play these games, I guarantee you they don't want to invite you to their house. Yeah, we can have a meetup at the park. Yeah, we can meet over here at the church. But why can't we come to your house? Why can't we come to your house for this meeting? I would love to see your house, because if you go to their house, you're going to see some shit that you weren't meant to see. I looked at one of the biggest people that was meant to unalive me while I was at that day's end. I looked at him in his eyes. And you want to know what was crazy for him to realize once he caught on to the very end? He said, I had to catch myself for a second. He said, because I realized I was saying too much. I said, yeah, you was. You said just enough for me to know what the fuck was up. But the biggest part of it was a little piece that he shared. That little piece was enough to know for a fact that half of the people that I could be dealing with between 1954 to 1979, I know their traumas. So it's too easy to spot them out. Every time that they come or decide to do something stupid or decide to behave ignorant, I'm going to know exactly what their weak spot is. Now, for me to speak on it right now, no, it's not necessary. It's not even necessary. But what is beyond necessary at this point is the fact that you're causing national security issues. That's like, again, I will reiterate, you're a part of the government. You're a part of officials. It's confidential information that I shouldn't be able to speak on. And the information that I do speak on is so elaborate that if there was a mass of people that was woken up, now we got an even bigger problem, Houston. Someone is watching me from Houston. We have a bigger issue at that point. Now, if you're going to do it correctly and promote people. I'm not caring if you're white. I'm not caring if you're purple, blue, black, African, whatever. I just want to do what the fuck is right and justice so we can have fair fucking exchange. And those, if you're going to use a fucking manifesto, use it appropriately. Use it for those that you know for a fact. Like if we had to eradicate because of global or environmental issues, there's a better and easier way to do so. Because most of the time, people will go ahead and attack people in poverty or people with special needs or people with disabilities. Most of the time, they're not going to kill off a person with disability. That's their biggest moneymaker. As of right now, that's the biggest moneymaker. People that are on Social Security, oh, I'm on Social Security. Bitch, you are the biggest fucking target. That's why I was great when they denied me that one time, even though I knew I was fucking qualified for it, for not only for myself, but for my son. And they denied me. At that point, I already knew. Not only did they deny me, I had 3 children in my home. And out of my 3 children, 3 of them had autism. The other one severely wheelchair bound from a military veteran that already knew that he wasn't the father of that child and went on ahead and carried out with Sergeant Stewart, with military affiliates that I was in the military with. Now, see, it's certain things that you can leave alone and you can let go. But then the problem came in when they started messing with my stuff at the Veterans Fair. I'm not bothering you, but you're bothering me. But now you're getting upset because it's like, so you could see everything we did. I did. I just needed to see how far you were going to go. So when it's my time to go ahead and go, you don't get to dictate how far the next person gets to go, right? There's no difference from when you go to in the court of law. Do you get to dictate how far that prosecutor going to get to go? No, the judge does. The judge will be like, hearsay. It's either, hey. The judge will be there to tell you, hey, slow down. Wait a minute. Or they'll tell you, redirect your question. Or they'll tell you, hey. That's what's the point of the judge in the midst of when you're doing your cross examination in the court, right? In the court of law, not street justice. So that's the point of even when you go into law, and some people are like, damn, if I had the right people in the support of me, I could have been any and everything that I ever dreamed of. All it takes of a lot of people right now, the reason why, do you want to know why they go so hard? Because somebody knows for a fact she gets the money, it's our ass. Who's to say? I could be the next Bloomberg. Who's to say? I could be the next Rothschild. Who's to say? You put the money in the right place, now we got an issue. But considering that you're black, hey, you can probably be the next case like they did Malcolm X. Malcolm X stepped outside of Farrakhan, and then what happened? Now we have no Malcolm X. But what was the following behind him? That's why I should not be talking about political, and this is how I know it's a political person sitting down right now at his desk, sitting here like, fuck. It's not a dick war, guys. Just get over the fact that any man that has to move, what they say, he who find a good wife find a good thing, right? So if we're going to utilize the Bible, he that findeth a good wife find a good thing, right? But the weirdest thing of it is you're following a King James version, meaning it was interpreted. It was interpreted from what he felt was the information for you to follow. That's why a lot of people, including the Italian mobs who've been moving around for centuries, have the best movement. Russia has the best movement. Most of the time when people who need to go ahead and to create and have their unalivers, they go out of the country. They're not going to go always use their United States ones. You send a black person, I'm going to know what's up with them. Shit, you just look at the demeanor, what they carry on, and what type of conversation they have. You send me a Hispanic one, of course. Because you must paint the picture of this person is ugly, they're dirty, they're incompetent, they're stupid. They don't understand this. Why? Because you're going off the information that somebody else gave you. And you're going off a message of information of people who've never seen me in 22 years. The facts are the facts. Patrick Luter couldn't even tell you what was my favorite color as a kid. Sheila couldn't even tell you what the fuck was my favorite color. She could tell Yeah, she was smart. She was real smart. But what was my favorite subjects? What were my top 3 favorite subjects? What was the biggest problem that I had in the education system? You need to show your work. Why should I have to show my work if the answer is correct? They always had a problem with that. Allow the information to just be fucking correct, and that's just what it is. It's no different from if you tell an FBI or a CIA agent, go with your intuition, right? Because most of the time, even an FBI or CIA person, or even a person that you can train well enough to go undercover, you still have to learn how to utilize certain situations. But most of the time, you will have to go off of it intuitively. It's just the name of the game. Every part of every system, let me make it clear. Every system, and here's another breakdown. What is a video game? A video game console system. What is a computer? An artificial intelligence system, right? It's all a system. A computer, the motherboard of a computer. The motherboard of the computer is meant to utilize it, if not mimic the brain. AKA now you got neurosciences. Now you got neurobrain people, right? So that will require for right now, for anybody handling my case, you're going to need somebody that's neuro, psychiatrist, psychologist. You will have to have somebody that knows the nervous system. You will have to know somebody who knows a heart. You will actually have to get someone who's on a high ranking that's actually calling themselves gypsies, seers, tarot, oracles. You have to get the highest people out here paid at that. Because you're not paying no little type of money just to get information from them to say, hey, they are who they say they are. The Hispanic community, they heavily pissed off right now. Someone 42 years old is pissed the fuck off right now. Because what that Babalao told you once they did the proper divination versus trying to act on doing something to go ahead and call somebody. Now, did it halt me for a few seconds, Q? Yes, it did. You got me for a second, Q. Just for a few seconds. But it required for me to go ahead to utilize, okay, when you go through this, and I'm going to teach you a lot of it, and a lot of it shouldn't even be public knowledge. I should be gatekeeping half of this stuff. But considering how far you're taking this, and I'm a little bit tired, I made it very clear. I just wanted to know who unalived the kid and who took my money. That was it. You want to keep the properties in the land, by all means be my guest. But I'm pretty sure everything that it's worth, you still want to pay me that in cash, one way or another. One way or another. There's no way of getting around this because, hey, we can keep their views down. We're going to suppress their TikTok. You're stupid. You run your mouth too fucking much because eventually when people are in the heat of rage and anger, guess what? If you're part of the sheriff, the police department, right? Or fire department, of course, naturally, especially men that are in sassy behavior, that got mommy and daddy issues, whether they try to portray it to other people or not, you want to know what they do? They're chatty Cathy's. They're chatty Cathy's. And someone is realizing, you know what, she's not fucking lying. She's not fucking lying. This is somebody, as a man, there's a man sitting here watching, he fucking laughing. He was like, let me pull off real quick. No, I can still, catch your energy regardless because you come here often. So your energy is going to be here for the next 12 hours, okay? So regardless of what you do for the next 12 hours, I have clear access to every single person who's watching, whether you in here in the live or outside of the live. For the next 12 to 22 hours, I have full access to your energy, period. Just so you can have full understanding. So for you to be out of my energy, you will literally have to take at least a year off. And over the last 2 years, you've been heavy in my energy. Down to people that are 304s, Backpage, OF, you name it. I'm picking up on every single person's energy. They can be the biggest mercenaries. They could be MS-13s. I'm picking up on everybody's energy. And instead of you sitting there telling these people the proper truth, now these people are going to have to come back and question you. And especially if these are underworld people, now you got a very big problem because it's one person. This person has every camera that they've ever installed. They're sitting here saying, there's no one around this woman. There's no one talking to her. She don't talk to one. She don't text anyone. I'm not on Tinder. I'm not on Bumble. I'm not on any of these pages. So now you have to explain what's happening. You don't think all this money that y'all was getting off of that for a little bit, that you're not going to have to pay that back to that person? You will. It's called energetic. Even a molar, a molecule, or an atom does the same thing. What happens to a cell? It divides, right? In order to do that, it must have a positive or a negative to it, right? No different from DNA. You must have an X or a Y chromosome, correct? Everything is interconnected. But it requires you to have interconnection within thyself to understand that. You must understand full human anatomy and physiology. You must have full understanding of biology. That's why it's important to take your children outside. That's why it's important to allow them to play in the dirt, the grass, the sand. You have it. It'll be someone, no, you're getting dirty. Why? Because your mom used to make sure to tell you have to be very clean for Mr. Robert to come over to do his job every 2 times a month so mommy can get that rock. I'm speaking to somebody's little girl trauma. For some of them, I'm talking to some boys' trauma. This stuff runs way deeper than a lot of people know. It's called either get it in order or you create disorder, which creates mental disorder. That was no different from how these doctors wanted to try to play, like, how do you know all of these things? You have the degree. You got a PhD. You are the doctor of neuro. You're the doctor of OBGYN. How do you know this stuff? Either you just want to be stupid, oblivious, or you just don't want to know. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, hey, if you're going to tell someone that they has Hashimoto, right? Or Graves' disease, it's important for you to go ahead. I'm not just going to take the pamphlet you gave me. I'm not just going to only go off of what the fuck Google is going to show me. Because Google can only take so much information without you going to a public library. I love public libraries. I just haven't had a chance to go in a few months because of stupid stuff. Because, hey, I got to watch my back everywhere I fucking turn and I need to get to a library. And you want to stop me from going to a library? That's the weirdest shit ever. I would think that is the most productive living civilian and citizen of the world. I want a citizen where we can still have active, open libraries. We're losing access to libraries. I don't give a fuck about a Home Depot or a Lowe's, but can I have access to a library? Call me Matilda if need be. Call me Miss Honey if you need be. But if you open your mind intellectually, they'll tell you reading is fundamental because it's for your mental. It's for you to have mental strength. Now, there's some people who psychologically would have been broke for half the shit that I've been through. Oh, yeah, they'll make them broken. But as a kid, by 4 years old, I knew I had to be mentally strong. Why? Because I had to be the mom in the home. Because the so-called mom or the parents that wanted to be the mom, Sheila would get pissed off if I would tell her that Carla was more of a mom than she was. Even though Carla was shitty, she had some little bit of capabilities, but she only learned that through nursing because she had to have bedside manner. But you can tell when a person has to do so much thinking around certain people that they're looking to betray. You want to know why? They're going to either have a very blank stare, they're going to try to gaslight you, or you're going to always catch them where you're trying to have a conversation and they be quiet and like, that like they're listening to you. They're not listening to you. They're thinking, they're listening and they're hearing you, but they're hearing you just to go ahead and figure out what's my next plot against this person. All right, they like to talk a lot, so I'm going to figure out how to come in at them like this. This person is gaining and losing a lot of weight. So for women, the biggest trigger for women should talk about their weight, body shaming for most women. Not me. I don't give a shit. Shit, I had 7 kids, bitch. What the fuck you gonna say? Snap back and still did good? Hey, I might have a little bit of fupa, but it's okay. I still work out and make sure that my heart is healthy. I make sure that my circulation system is good. I make sure that my lymph system is good. I make sure that my brain is very good. My nervous system is taking a little bit of time, but I'm getting back there. You see what I'm saying? Most of the time, people do not have that capacity to do that for themselves. Instead of becoming mentally strong, they become mentally weak. So most of the time, it's like, the more that they do the shit, I was like, you're making me stronger, but I love it. I'm not going to trip on it. This was no difference from, like, there's been opportunities and I knew it was opportunities for myself. I had this woman, while I was staying in her house over there off of Laxton Street, I remember just going to her room because I was trying to go find something. But something just told me to look. And I looked over and she was trying to hide it under her Bible, bro. She tried to hide this shit under the fucking Bible. But it was my name and it was opened. She had already took the letter out and everything. And I'm sitting here like, let me see if she's going to say something. Or if she's going to even notice that it's gone. It took her a little bit before she realized that it was gone. And then she come walk up on me and was like, so what you doing? When she hit that stuttering point, that's when I knew I had her ass. I said, you've been doing this shit for a long ass time. I already knew she had been doing that shit for a long ass time. So you opening my mail. That's a federal offense. You know that, right? But of course, it's your mom. She don't expect for you to call the feds. I'm not going to call anything because right now your ass is under federal investigation because from me leaving in Puerto Rico and they thought they intercepted it, accepted my email to tell them this is who it is, this is who you need to look into, even down to my ex-husband. There you go. It was even like, even the Parham family was like, how the fuck she knew about this? Baby, it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out what it is that you do. And it's like the kick I get out of this, and I really be wanting to say, that's what the fuck you get for insulting people's intelligence, to think that you're really fucking smart. A scammer only has the capability and the intelligence to go so far. You want to know why? Because they only think one way. They only think one way. They won't ever think in a multitude of certain ways. Now, granted, your very top, most high priority criminals, they're going to get away with some shit at least for about 12 years before they get caught. Just think about it. How many people have you had to catch on? As a matter of fact, that guy that just got released from prison from impregnated his daughter so many times. Case in point. Case in point. That's a case in point right there. That man impregnated his daughter. He got out on his 90th birthday. That's one valid point. There's a guy that he worked for the FBI or CIA, or he also worked for like very high-end security for celebrities. You want to know what he made very clear, and it's very fucking valid? You know your people that end up being offenders of children or the R word, you know what kind of, in traffickers as well, you know what kind of jobs they have? Fast food restaurant, post office. They got regular smuggler jobs, construction workers, regular smuggler jobs. They are your top people for trafficking. They are your top people for kidnapping. They are your top people that you will find pedo things and be able to connect the bigger people to be able to watch children and so forth, so forth. Basic psychology, basic knowledge. Most of the time it's not public knowledge. But most of the time the public, like I said, I have said it numerous times to even basic conversations I have with people. Most of the time, no one wants to believe anything until it's sitting right there in their front door. This happened in our neighborhood. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened in my neighborhood. You can't. But you've been watching that shit for 32 years. You done lived on the block for 32 years. You mean to tell me you ain't seen none of that? No, it's no different than, you know how when people tell you, I have an Empire state of mind or a New York state of mind? You can tell a person from New York City by how they behave. You could tell the difference from somebody that's from Jersey City or New Jersey. Anybody from the Northeast, trust and believe me, they done seen some stuff that they done had to turn the other cheek. You think they ain't seen who robbed who? You don't think they done seen who kidnapped that person's kid from up the street? Oh, I don't want no parts of that. They already snatched us such and such kid. I don't need them snatching up mine. Because you scary. But you be quick to take that money to go ahead and GameStop, won't you? Because now we got the internet, so you think it's cool to troll. There was people that I even heard from them even saying out on their own mouth on YouTube. That's why they was telling people, be mindful about who you listening to for readings. It was Rita. It's a girl named LaTroya that she do old God's messages. You want to know what her first message that she dropped that told me to say I cannot ever listen to her? She said, I was the biggest gossiper that you will ever know. I was the biggest person that you will ever know to sit there and listen to people do this, and I will run my mouth about it. Thank you for letting me know that. Now I know not to ever trust anything that's coming out of your mouth, because if she was given the opportunity or given the right amount of money or the right place or position to do so, she will sit there and be talking about, well, God had told me to do this. No, because if you were given the right amount of money, you're going to go ahead and persuade whatever it is that you need to persuade. There was no difference from Rita. Now, granted, she does good about what it is that she do, but you want to know what she said? She said on one of her videos while I was sitting there listening to it, she said, yeah, I'm one of the biggest trollers. Yeah, I will troll somebody with a quickness with my friends. She's the one with the tongue ring. And I was sitting there, I was like, well, damn, thank you for letting me know. Now I need to move on from listening to you, because when people are telling you who they are, believe them. You're a troller? Okay, I know not to listen to you, because you will be a person on all these people's platform who's really out here trying to get a message out to save people. You will troll those same people if they gave you the right amount of money. Black people are notorious for it. I'm struggling already. My job cutting my hours, shit. And these will be the same people when all the shit hit the fan. Girl, I'm sorry, because I needed the money. I hope you understand. I overstand. You needed that money. But you can still go over there. A person with common sense and understand that I don't want to trauma bond with you. I don't want to have any ties with you. No disrespect or harm. But you're not a person to be in my group. You're not a person that I wanted to be even affiliated or associated with. Because basically what you're telling me, for the right price, you're bought. It's no different than presidency. For the right price, you will be bought. Most of the time, people be like, what? When it comes to Trump, shit, I fuck with Trump. It ain't about him, his parents being white supremacists and none of that shit. You think I really give a shit about that? No. Because most of the time, most of these people are running on hate. And a person running on hate, baby, it's just, you think I'm finna be upset for you naturally being who the fuck you are? Actually, you are... It's a learned behavior, as psychology says. Most of these people running on hate. I don't like black people. I don't like white people. I don't like Hispanic people. Baby, you're just running off a learned behavior. Because Carlos got his ass beat from the black dude up the street. So now he got to go ahead. It's a black woman. I'll do it. Wow. For la raza. By all means, be my guest. But when it goes down, when you get hit with that racist paperwork, I don't think you're gonna want to reconsider. Because how the jails is going to have to reorganize itself. It's no longer, it used to always be black and white. Either you black and white or you was that mulatto. Even mulatto kids, even back to racism, if we had to really go to it, you was black, white, or mulatto. Even as a Hispanic person, you were categorized as mulatto. If not, you were put on the reservation with the Indian people, the Native Americans. Because sometimes some of the Hispanic people, when you came in with straight hair and they were Mexican, they were authorized to be on the Native American reservations. That's like Oklahoma, Texas, and stuff like that. But that's a whole different history lessons for y'all to really learn how it goes. Because like I said, I was so blessed to be able to have that experience with other nationalities, other religions, for me to, experience it. I've been on the outside of when it comes to Arabic Muslims. I've been on the outside of that. Now, granted, had I ever been offered before by somebody that was Arabic? Hell yeah, I think he was from Iraq. You want to know what was crazy? His wife even came in with him and said, yeah, I wouldn't mind for her to be our second wife. She said, shit, it gives me a break. Shit, was he willing to go ahead and make sure I had home, education, and whatever I was taking care of? Because guess what? When it comes to Arabic, it's ran appropriately. That man takes care of that woman. If he couldn't afford me, he can't take me. But most of the time, most women, especially black women or Hispanic women, and they go ahead and go to that religion, they don't know what they're getting themselves into. You want to know why? Because most of the time, like I said, been on the outside looking in, but also being affiliated and actually having them as genuine friends, even though we separated over the years. You want to know what the stories I would have to hear from them? It runs very deep. They think American, especially if you're American or from the U.S. territories, they think you're gullible. They think you're stupid. When it comes to Asian people, like I said, the reason why they bowing and not shaking your hand, they don't want the energy exchange. They do not. There's a very important thing. What's his name? Jack Black. Hollywood. He's the biggest ritualistic person you will ever meet. Respectful, but the biggest person that do rituals on his own, not with everybody. I made it very clear. Go look at the Berkshire's meeting. People who invest in that. Tell me how their meetings start and how you're supposed to be getting in. Tell me how that goes. A lot of people don't make it there, but there was a lot of hood people that if they was really about their money and they really wanted to get into there, you had to have a share in Berkshire to really be doing something. You don't have no money in Berkshire, you got a problem. Me, I pay attention to what these big people are doing with their money. Warren Buffett moved his money out of there. Bill Gates did what? Okay. There's something bigger going on. You think I got a problem to be sitting here worried about what a church got going on? Shit, half the church, like I said, half the church be the biggest bigots. Okay? They're the biggest bigots. Certain men just pay attention to his habits and stuff like that. Like I said, the biggest cover-up was about Zachary Timms. The wife was mad. She figured out what he was really into, what his preference is. Her and Paula were the bestest friends, and you need help, friend. We'll figure it out. I'll just take it over, and you go ahead and run that stuff over there how you got to so you can heal and recover. And here's the grant and the money for you and your kids to live off of. That was their deal. It was no secret to it, but guess what? Rita couldn't be around because they knew I was going, hey, something ain't right. Even as a kid, they knew that, hey, if I was in the wrong place and it was people encountering me, they knew it was an issue. Why? Because I wasn't going to bite my tongue. Most of the time, they wasn't concerned about what it was that I was doing. They was more concerned about what the fuck I was going to say. Because they wanted that, look, Rita, why you ain't say that? That's my friend. Bitch, I wouldn't want to be your friend. If you got to sit here and always got to conceal and hide who you truly are, that person genuinely do not want to be your friend. She's not going to want to be my friend if you're just so outspoken. She don't want to be a friend if her kids are not well behaved or well mannered. Honey, a real genuine friend, even if like I didn't have people where they was going through postpartum to a point so bad. As a matter of fact, I'll say her name, Misty. When she had her first 3 kids and she went through that divorce, she went through a major depression. But you want to know what was the biggest thing that I realized? I was like, you know what, she just had this baby. I had no problem with it. But guess who was the babysitter? Me, right? I went into that house. I didn't ever judge her. You want to know what it was? She went to go do her 304 stuff. It took me about 2 days to clean up that whole house. And when I say that whole house had trash from every corner, from the front of the house to the back of the house. I never judged her. I never talked about her. You want to know what I did? I made sure that the babies was good. I got them sleep or whatever the case may be. Make sure that they was laying on something clean. And I cleaned every corner of her house with no hesitation, no questions asked. Rita, you did this? Honey, you know it was needed. But I wasn't there to sit there to judge her about it. But I made sure that as I was there, and I was like, do you need me to stay here a little bit longer? At that time, I was dating that boy, Rangel. Now, was Rangel another setup and plot before his little girlfriend or now his wife who's been attacking for all over these years? Oh, she wasn't really his kid, stuff like that. It's like, it's part of the game of how it really goes on. It's just part of it. And I was just like, you know what? Let's just make sure it's clean. Make sure, the line. I even cleaned her clothes. Folded it up and everything. How you gonna set your room is how you gonna set your room. But I made sure every piece of trash was out of there. I made sure that everything had it clean. I had to get the smell out of there because it was babies in there. And once I did that, I felt even more comfortable for myself and more comfortable for those babies because they deserve to be in something sanitary. Because the only thing she had needed is DCF had knocked on their door. They was gonna snatch them kids up without a question. No, it's like you have your kids living in this type of filth. Even when she had brought them over to my house back when I came back to Florida. And I'm sitting here like, damn, you did all of that? But I didn't even trip, and I was like, these are the kids, this is how she's going through. But guess what was the biggest part of it? She was going through abuse. She didn't know how to love herself. She didn't know how to love herself. But I miss him. But honey, go ahead and listen to the tarot and figure out how you got to figure it out, baby. But you can stay here in my house. It wasn't the greatest thing, but hey, I did what I needed to do. I still opened my house to the same people who were betraying me. That's the type of person I am. I'm not here to fucking judge you, but you did what you did. But now you get mad at me because I'm speaking on the truth. Most of the time, people who tend to abuse you, the abuser, are cool to do what it is that you do, long as you're quiet. You give me Cali vibes. Coming from Hawaii from years ago, yeah. From the West Coast originally. But most of the time, this is how the things usually go. My first person that ever made sure that I was always protected, his name, I just remember his last name was Garcia. I think his name was David Garcia or something like that. But he was the only person, even then, he would talk to me in Spanish and stuff like that. Like I said, I've been knowing Spanish since I was legit. But it was like, damn, you done grew up. I done grew up, but they didn't give you a chance to go ahead and come after me and lust after me. You not know that feeling from being a kid, and every person that your mom had that she knew would be interested into a kid to keep them in the house. Mom, I don't feel safe here with this person being here. When will you be here? I'll wait outside. I was that kid. I'll sit outside till you get here. Then she'll swear up and down, well, no, it was either I had to be at your house over there in Beacon Hill, or I had to go take myself all the way to fucking Ocoee to Carla house. But you want to know what was crazy? I had to find my way to get there. It wasn't like they picking me up to get me over there. So they would love to put on this facade in the story. But see, the thing of the difference is between me and the rest of them that is so-called family, their inconsistencies to my consistencies. Make it make sense. That's why the same people that are in authority that went on ahead to go ahead and play these type of games because they thought we were going to play a head game. No, I was smart enough by the time I was in 10th grade that even if they wasn't going to help me get into the programs that I needed, I was smart enough to say, hey, you need to make sure that you take human anatomy and biology and physiology, take biology. And I was smart enough by the time I was in 10th grade to take psychology. All the way up to my senior year. Because I didn't understand. I was like, the only thing I needed to know was to understand people's behavior. I might be autistic. I might have ADHD, but I ain't stupid. Most of the skills that people have to end up fucking learning is by environment. I had to learn by my environment. I had to learn how to protect myself. I had to learn what's the cue that they use before they attack you. What's the cue that they will use before they try to lie. I base my life around that. Not y'all base y'all life around about what they wearing, what they saying, who's the biggest celebrity, what's on TV, what they got going on. You base your life off of that. I base my life on, are you lying? Are you stealing? Are you trying to take an advantage? Are you trying to hurt or harm me? I live my life through that. So the details that I would pay attention to, I know the basic common people wouldn't ever pay attention to. Like I said, back to it again, and I say it a third time. You can tell who's there for the job they love, and you can tell who's there for the paycheck. It took me to learn epidemiology. It took me to learn eugenics. It took me to take college classes on sociology. It took me to take classes in psychology and in all the psychologies that I could get my hands on. Astronomy, just to understand, like, also with anatomy, they do use certain astrology in astronomy to control the brain. It's a real fucking thing. I was like, that's crazy. You know how you have people that are numerologists and Scientologists? Same fucking thing. It was people that was so into hocus pocus that they didn't even know that everything that you do It's a number. You remember the church song? And I want to be in that number. Or when the saints come marching in. Or when the saints come marching in. Oh, I want to be in that number. People are like, oh, it's way deeper than you know. Bluegrass was based off of what? Negro spirituals. So most of the time, everything that you sitting here basing it off of, basic folks without struggle can never get it. But even then, it's most of the time, like they tell you, people who've never been in the struggle or been in the hood, they're more excited about people in the hood. They excited about, oh, they over here doing it. So most of the time, who's usually funded it? The kid from the middle class or the kid from the high class funded that person in the poverty because they excited about the hood, because that YN know how to go ahead and break in. That YN know how to figure out certain weaknesses. That YN, especially boys, they know what the mental weakness, because they saw their mama have the mental weakness. So I'm going to go after the woman that was like my mama, because I watched the man be able to do this and get away with it. The hood is all cool and dandy until you get up there and you make that money and you try to make your way back to the hood and you don't make it back out. Pick your struggle. Either you're going to be educated and dumb, or educated, street smart, and environmentally smart. Because when you pay attention to all three, because everything happens in threes. Hecate. What is that? The three goddess, right? Or the three fates, as they say. It's no difference from when you're utilizing that. There's no difference than when you call on Kali Ma. She's a goddess of three in one. Make her mad, make her sad, or make her happy, right? There is no difference from when you use Wiccan. It's no different than you utilizing pagan. If I had to go ahead and go deeper for some people, do you understand the Gordian knot? Most people don't know that. If I had to tell you, are we actually utilizing the perfect calendar, the actual calendar that we should be using? No. Because most people, you ask a civilian, what's the Julian date? The Julian date, go to Google. Ever ask a person in Africa about their birthday, you'll be like, that ain't right. We are actually in 2005. But if you go out there to Africa, they'll tell you, no, it's actually 2022. You'll be like, what? It ain't 2022, it's 2025. What calendar are you following? If I go to certain parts of Mexico, they're still utilizing Aztec and Mayan eulogies. There's still certain sacred grounds that you can touch or you cannot touch, even on a tourist thing, unless you're brought in. But even if you're brought in, gotta be very careful, because you don't know who's running that, right? People running a rat race that ain't even need to be there. Some people are still on a hamster wheel and trying to figure out, oh, it's free will. Do you really have free will? That's why they get mad at certain people when they have to shut them down, talking about, oh, I'm a Moor. Black people always want to be a Moor. But do you know what comes down with that? You want to follow the walks of Farrakhan. Do you know what comes along with that? Oh, I want to be a Muslim. Everybody turns a Muslim once they go to prison. But do you know what comes along with that? Everybody want to be a black Jew or a black Hebrew, but do you know what goes along with that? Go talk to that rabbi before you get ready to go do that Hebrew Israelite stuff. I ain't going to no rabbi. Actually, black Jews. Okay, but did you talk to the actual rabbi that still holds the key to you? If you look on the actual information on Ancestry.com, tell me who runs it. Tell me who was able to utilize the information. Tell me how that goes. Tell me who runs it. Tell me the name of the church. Seventh-day Adventist, Pentecostal, Amish. Shall I say more? When it comes to 1775, when it comes to running Masons and Shriners, it's only based off of years. 10 times out of 10 is based off of a book. Most of the time, your secret code is based on a book. Most 33rd degrees, you must understand, what's her name? Blavatsky. Most of those people, you must know how to do energy manipulation. You must understand Tesla's 369 method. You must understand a lot of information in order to become a 33rd degree. When they tell you to go into numerology, life path 22, you're just in the healing phase. You're just a great healer. Life path 11, life path 22, you're just a great healer. 33, you are the builders. They are the ones that can build what it is that you're coming to do. We can manipulate your energy. I can keep manipulating what you're thinking. I can control your media, Wi-Fi, signals, radiation. Oh, let me get you more intrigued by NASA. When did we have TV? Oh, the man on the moon. But I'm going to leave it at that because there's still so much information that's in the midst of that this government official is realizing, like, God damn it, there's no winning in this, sir. Especially if you're still in trauma, wounds, and your behavior, it does not work really well. I am a narcissist, a sociopath, and a psychopath's worst nightmare. You want to know why? They're utilizing their great at fucking mind games. They're really good at monotone. Hi, how are you? Does it seem like I give a shit about you? You see how blank this stare is? It's for somebody else, they'll be like, I gotta utilize this. Hold on, what the fuck does that mean? Are you smiling just because? I'm only smiling because you smiled. Psychopath. Psychopath will mimic anything that you do. It's like a form of echolali, as you will pick up in autism. So you in their hits. Why else are they so precise in how they get rid of you? It's precise and precision is what most of them look for, right? The method for a Marine, one shot, one unalive, right? No different if you were in Army, Special Force, or whatever, Navy Force. Precise execution, make sure that you do it with. So communication is very key for a lot of people. But I'm going to utilize in my fruit. Why somebody continues, whatever it is that they got to continue on. I mean, it was something about a continuum. What's this continuum about? It's something ongoing at this time. A Pisces and a Leo and a Libra. Someone born in 1991. Definitely two men. One is either a star. So one female must be a star. Someone is definitely a Pisces. Two Eastern stars, or somebody, you have a two-star general. Two-star general that's a Shriner or a top hat. Bureaucrat or aristocrat. They're the major investor, but I feel like this person is saying, no, this person is not an imposter. A false friend, beware. This is like someone that wants to send in someone to pretend to be a friend just to get information. No, what I put here is what I put here. If it's business, make a contract, but don't make a contract. And if I figure out that you're part of it, because I will read your energy prior to even signing anything. This is like someone putting in so much jargon that it's like, oh, this, like, no, make it 12 pages. We leave it at that. 1,000 or 22K. For somebody, you're going to be offered 22 million in this situation. For somebody, 3 million up to 6 million, because of the detriment of somebody taking on the information from someone else. They're actually understanding, like, okay, this is way bigger, because on top of this situation, you know how, like I said, people will hire investigators on top of investigators just to investigate whoever the person is that's coming in. And this communication for somebody is racial hate. For somebody is your own family's hate. And sometimes it just be people that just hate you because you are you and you got the capability to do certain things. You got the capability to utilize to know when someone is telling you a lie. You have the capability to understand to like, hey, they're going to do this. Janie's got a gun. Somebody's name is Janie or Janae or Janice or something like that. Janice. She's going to be arrested before they can even get excited. Of course, it's new and exciting. And it's cool. But most people, you know, once you start seeing this in certain situations, you can tell how people are programmed. You know what I'm saying? It's like a program. Like I said, anything with system in it is systematic if you allow it to happen. But anybody that knows with any system, you're going to tend to run into a problem. And in this situation, we're running into tariff issues. We're running into national security, because this is like someone, like I said, the more you're suppressing me, the more that you're giving me more access to people wanting to watch internationally. Now you got a bigger problem. You got a bigger problem at that point. Because now it's, oh, well, we are in control of this. Are you sure? You remember your friend that you have that they say, yeah, my family's in Korea. I haven't seen them in 12 years. They're very good at what they do. It's a lot of people that are in political positions right now. You're talking to double agents and don't even realize it. History tends to repeat itself. Somebody, have you had an encounter with someone from Japan? History tends to repeat itself. Have you had an encounter with someone Hawaiian or Australian? Cuba? History tends to repeat itself. Of course, I'm your friend until it does no longer benefit me. What is the sole purpose of what it is that you're running? Well, why would you want to run this? Now, granted, is a lot of these places still under caste systems and things of such? Of course. But if I want to utilize the information that what it is that's going on, I'm going to utilize the person that you want me to stay away from. And most of the time, the person that you always bring up their name to make them the bad guy, even the bad guys are going to go to the bad to realize that, hey, they really wasn't that bad. Let me see, how can I utilize them? And that's when you run into a huge problem. And someone don't realize this Taurus, this May Taurus, whose birthday is like May 15th, May 16th, or the 13th, they don't realize how much situations you're causing someone to get into. For someone, you're going to receive a visit from someone like this is of national security. Again, this, like, why I keep saying national security, national security. You're not in trouble, but you're also part of being a victim. Like, I don't call myself a victim. Shit happens. You was going to stream me. You wanted to catch me naked. You wanted to make profit off of it. But make sure that you run every single penny and every single dollar that you earned off of this, and that every penalty and every bit of violation that you serve time for it. Simple. Too easy. Somebody's birthday is on the 24th that's going to get caught up in this. A Gemini, a Pisces, an Aries. Somebody's birthday could be the 24th of any month or the 27th. It's like people running amok, and it's like, oh, we messed up. Yeah, you messed up when you called this last person to go ahead and carry out a hit. Military people that's supposed to be retired, that you got involved in it. But it's like, well, they're going to have to go to a restaurant. They're going to have to eventually go do this, and they got to go do this, and they got to do that. Okay, the fact that you're pulling up the information and they're trailing any IP address is going to be affiliated with that person's name, especially with the name that they have to utilize at this time. They're going to track anyone using that person's social security, telephone number, emails. They're looking at every time this person create emails right behind the 2 people or the 22 people that they already hired to follow your IP address, to follow your cell phones, to look at your emails. So for someone, you got somebody's name is Ishmael or Israel, something like that. But even then, when these people are paying people to look at your email, to stop your phone, to go to your mobile places and things of such, they have to understand, like I said, it's national security at this point. So, of course, this is at a higher level where they're going to have to hire people on top of the people to go ahead to figure out, like, why, what was the purpose of this person doing this? And why would they want to do it from there? So this is actually for somebody's name is Ashley. Or Katrina, Karina, Kyla, or something like that. Michaela, MacGyver, Gavinston. Where's Galveston? That's Texas. So someone is looking into all of this. It's like, why would you send people from Mississippi? Well, why would you send people from California? Why would you send people from Oregon? For someone to key include that somebody's not supposed to be somewhere. I know in the state of Florida, I can't speak for other places, but you have 30 days up to change your driver's license, your car tags. And some of these people are coming with tags on their car, clearly telling you where they're coming from. And it's like, how long you been here? And it's like, so you're one of the people that they're doing this. For somebody, they're going to realize somebody owns like a car lot or an auto dealership. This can be somebody that could be, I'm hearing the territories, the U.S. territories, and they're sending, they already got the shipment where they're seeing like different plates in there, and they're switching out these plates from different states to make it seem like they're switching off these cars and stuff like that, driving the same car but switching the plates. So whenever the police are running it, they wouldn't catch on to that it's them participating in this situation. But like I said, investigatively for me to pick that up on that, someone could be an actual police officer that could be doing their job or couldn't be. It doesn't matter to me. But true to in every blue, for somebody you have an honest officer who watches you all the time avidly. You may not know who they look like or anything like that. They know who you are, but this is like someone so intrigued, and it's like, I'm hearing, this is a blessing, bro. Like, you know, I'm hearing someone say like, this could solve so many fucking cases. Like, it shouldn't have took this long. Like, somebody is excited, and I'm elated. For someone, this person, true blue, will approach you. Someone you have or will receive some kind of money soon. Someone, it could be within the next 8 hours. Someone you can get it no later by the 14th, between May and August 14th. For somebody, you'll probably get, I'm hearing someone wants to send you like 10,000, 8,000, 10,000, or whatever, wherever this money is going to be coming from. Somebody wants to send you something, because I'm hearing like, this is too valuable for me to just like overlook this. I get it, whatever, but this is too valuable. Even if this was a person that went against you, even though it might feel wrong, you got to know that you were wronged and violated in so many ways. If you were violated how I was, like my privacy, every bit of privacy that I could have was violated on every level that there was, due to Patrick and Johnny doing that from a distance. And Johnny only behaved because he did that from off the strength of his brother. Like, and it was like, it's more disappointing. Like, Johnny, why would you take the fucking word of Patrick? Patrick will lie to you. The sky could be blue. He'll be like, no, it's red. Seriously? Did you tell him about the trail of everything? Because I'm telling you, anybody come and look for that man, Patrick Monique Luter, I got some words for you to dig into, and that person is not getting out in no time soon. You need the rest of that crew, I got you. We'll tie it right down to Natalia, down to everybody that participated just to be the monitoring spirit, like trying, like I understand now, when people try to call you and try to keep you on the phone, and it's like, it should have been just like a simple conversation. Like, I'm not the type of person to stay on the phone too long unless it's something to do with business, or if you're calling me for like actual healing, or it's something like to do with business. You have no real other reason to be on the phone for fucking too long, over an hour, 2 hours, talking about nothing, or just to hear each other breathe. I'm not here to listen to you complain. Either we're going to have a solution, or stay the fuck off of my phone. I'm not emotionally available to hear something that clearly is a problem and clearly there's a solution. If there's a problem, there's a solution. I'm more concerned of the solution than to stay in the problem. I've been the problem. I had to figure out the solution. And even then, certain solutions, the problems still come back. And I didn't realize how the problem was coming back because it was my own family trying to recreate problems, trying to recreate the complex PTSD, trying to recreate abuse in you. Most of the time, some people as adults, they suppress traumas. Most people end up suppressing traumas by the age of 12. That they sometimes have a memory lapse. They can forget certain things because if you go do their brain scan, it'll seem like it's white patches or lesions in the brain because that's the parts of their brain that when the trauma occurred, that's what shut down. So most of the time, if you're not paying attention, if that person's not really self-aware, of course, you can re-invoke that trauma again. For me, bats, being pushed out of a car, being ran over by a car, being stabbed, being shot at, being strangled, being tied up, being locked in basements, being caught in home fires or smoke inhalations. There's nothing in this earth that you could tell me that I haven't seen or experienced within myself. So it's just like, most of them cause me to be on a whole different mental level, as well as how to be able to maneuver in certain situations, even when it comes to corruptions of officials, doctors, lawyers, hospitals. Like my situation with my son back in 2012, that there alone allowed me to know what to look for in CPS, DCF, guardian ad litems, judges, lawyers, especially when they have handled civil family cases and things of that such. It caused me to pay more attention and more alert to those. Also, when it comes to divorce, I pay very close attention to those. Moderators, I pay very close attention to those. Lawyers that tend to deal with like money matters or social security things, it made me to be more self-aware of their tactics, their goals, their behaviors, what type of crowd would they be in. That's why it was so easy that I tell people whenever it's time for you to hire lawyers, go to the public library, because every lawyer judge is meant to be public record about where they graduated from, their affiliations, even if they were in a frat sorority, if they're Shriners and stuff like that. That's all in their public record, but it's certain libraries. You know what I'm saying? So most of the time, all that stuff right there is like cool to me. Like, I don't really care, but it's just like most of the time I just be like, look, just stop the bullshit. Just give me my fucking money. Like the opportunities and stuff like that. Like I said, I would have loved to work for NASA. I would have loved to be an FBI agent. I would have loved to be a fucking judge. I would have loved to be a fucking doctor. And not only a medicine doctor, but a psychiatrist doctor, you know, to help people mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically. It's a beautiful thing. But when you try to hinder a person that wants to be out here to really genuinely heal people and help people, and you want to hinder them by suppressing or paying people, because I have money and my parents have money and I hate that they did this to me, but you only went off of hearing what one person is. That's why you don't ever conduct yourself or consume yourself with people who are not willing to go validate any information about the next person. That's why I will always exclude myself. Like I said, the Veronica, she knew what it was. Even when she used to try to bring me information about her friend Tanya and her friends from college and stuff like that. Hey, they're not here to, you know, back their stuff up. I don't want to hear that. So you might want to get her permission first before you tell me her business. And some people don't like the fact like that. I don't operate like that. If you call yourself somebody else's friend, don't bring me your other friends' information about them without getting their permission first for you to tell me what they got going on. Because it's not my concern to be in somebody else's business and they don't even know me like that. That's not right. Even Tanya could say that. Even if she did participate for a second, I can respect it if you sit there and say something versus just trying to, I was just trying to help and I really don't give a shit. But I mean, I appreciate you for telling me. Just understand that we won't rock, or I can probably just keep you at an arm's length, or arm's length with a full foot long metal spoon, not even a wooden one, okay? But it just, that's how the cookie crumbles. I hope today was very informational, informal, for a lot of people to pick up, to understand these are the type of things in life. That's why you have to be super careful You can tell the difference of who tapped in and tuned in. Most readers want to talk about love and stuff like that. I can care two shits about it. I care shit about life and self. That's more important than anything. You think I'm giving a shit about falling in love with the next man hey, there's a possibility that you're still traumatized from some shit that your parents did? I have no problem with calling you out on your shit, because most of the time, if you really had to sit there and tell people, if you get married and you had to choose between your husband and your children, you should be choosing your husband. It's a fact. But those reality type of conversations are not what the public are prepared for, because they're still stuck on what society wants them to feel or deem as appropriate to conduct yourself. There's men being married to women to keep up the cover and the image of, oh, I'm married, I have a wife, I can't be gay. Bro, for years you cheated on this woman. Why does that woman have syphilis? Why does that woman have herpes? Why does that woman have HIV? She's just going to stay in this marriage because, hey, you brought this shit to me and you're going to carry this out. Now I get alimony. Well, actually, technically, if you go ahead and divorce him, you can go ahead and add assault to it. Now, if you knew over these years, that means that you intentionally allowed yourself to sit in it to go ahead and get it. So, of course, getting alimony, nah, you can forget it. You knew he had it. You knew he was like that. And now it's like, but I don't get anything. No, you won't get anything, man. You knew he had it. You stayed. That's your problem. Yeah, because the courts want to rule it in that way. But most of the time, some people don't be knowing. Or they're really clueless, or the person who they with is really great at manipulating. You should know key tells about when somebody's doing something to you, how they treat you, how they behave when certain people are around you. If a man is willing to go ahead and pick over his whole family over you as the wife, that man has already made in his mind that you're irrelevant to him. You're not important to him. Well, my mom said, but that's your wife, sir. When you married that woman, that's you and her. Well, my mom, okay, who gives a shit about your mom? When you left your mom to go marry, you have departed from the bosom. Her milk is no longer your milk. Your milk comes from your wife. So what your mom is talking about is irrelevant. If your wife or your mom is in the hospital, you need to be over there with your wife, not your mama. But she don't have nobody. That sounds personal. I get there when I get there. Let me handle my wife first, or my husband first, and then I get to you. And some people will call it selfish or hateful, but hey, if we had to really conduct yourself accordingly, the facts are the facts. It's a harsh reality, but the facts are the facts. That's no different from when you go to the hospital or you watch these shows where a man will sit there and tell you there's a car accident. The woman is pregnant, right? She gets in a car accident. And they say, hey, we got to rush her to go do surgery, right? What that man is going to say, save my wife. He's going to say, save the wife. The baby will have to be sacrificed in that situation, right? Right. And some people don't understand, like, hey, the harsh reality in that moment is the big significance of every other things that you have to conduct in yourself. You have to think that, hey, if I got into this crazy, horrible accident and this person was carrying a child, and that doctor says it's either your wife or we could save the woman or we could save the baby. He's going to say, save my wife. Why? Will she go through a Great Depression? Granted, will he mentally or emotionally be prepared? There's a possibility, not, but will they recover? Most likely they don't ever recover, and 10 times out of 10 in those type of situations, they end up getting divorces. Excuse me. 10 times out of 10, they end up getting divorces. You think I want to stay with a man that couldn't even come show up for his son because his mom said, because the lawyer said? No, there was a whole bunch of money involved in this, and then Regina Taylor Parham decided to interfere in that, and you didn't get to come there to help make sure what was going on with your son. You end up dibbling and dabbling and not realizing, hey, this actually hit my kids. Now you're in a different home, not in the same home with your daughters, and your daughters are stuck in the house with the same woman who abused you. And now my 3 girls are suffering at the sake of your mother, and I got to judge me because those are little girls and they have big feelings, and their feelings matter. My autistic one, my Bina, that's my baby. Mommy, Granny's a bitch. I know, baby, but I know you feel that way. Let's try to do our best to not use those words, but I understand how you feel. As a parent, even if your kid's cussing for you, don't give a fuck how religious you are. That child has feelings, and that was the best way for them to express themselves. 10 times out of 10, if your child is in the public system, they're going to learn shit that they got no business learning. Most of the time, you need to go ahead and, oh, this kid was talking about this with my kid. Hey, what's going on in the home of that child versus you sitting here going on crazy shit. If anything, I would want to bring this child in just to figure out, okay, what's going on. Then as I'm bringing that child, let's meet the parents. Let's have a discussion. And if that parent can have the discussion, guess what? You and their kid got to go over there because that's the energy and the entity that's attached to that. AKA, again, learned behavior. Aggressiveness comes from aggressive parents. Bullies, the boys that tend to bully were boys that either got neglected, beat on, or just emotionally disregarded as children. It's basic common sense. They won't have respect depending on who was getting beat on in the home. If the dad was being beat on in the home, and some people don't pay attention. Men do get beat on. Men do get abused. I dealt with one that was being abused and didn't know that you was getting pimped out from your own people. But it was just like, hey, it's neither here nor there. But hey, you can recognize it when you see it because you've been around it. Pay attention to those certain things. Pay attention to your surroundings. I have to pay attention to mine. I shouldn't always have to be like, what's going on today? Who's going to be stupid today? What's going on today? But I have every grounds. Thank God for Florida being a standing ground place. But it would be great for me to actually have my paperwork. But of course, you know, they want to hold up the paperwork to be buttholes about it. Of course, I still need to get back into the system to let them know, hey, update my information so I can get my paperwork to know. Same thing with the post office, that even when I changed my information at the post office, guess what? Sheila had these grounds to do so, especially when I was gone for those 2 years in Puerto Rico. So of course they was getting away with so much information. It was no different than when the hospital, the children's hospital in Colorado, tried to compensate me. So they didn't know if I was going to open up a case in 2018, 2019. They didn't know if I was going to open up a case on them in the children's hospital in Colorado with my son. So it's a lot of things that go on in life. You got to understand, some people go through some real ass shit. So what is there to be scared of? At the end of the day, you're going to stab me, you're going to shoot me. Just make sure, do it correctly and make sure it happens very fast, okay? That's it. It's simple, you know. We're fighting to live when we're living to die. But what mark are you leaving here on this earth? What mark are you, when you leave this earth, what do you want to be known for? The person that gave love when people didn't deserve love. The person who gave people patience and compassion where there was no patience and compassion. I gave love in a world full of war and hate and destruction. I gave love in the midst of chaos and confusion. Evil lives in chaos and confusion. The devil lives in chaos and confusion, aka indirect torture, aka noise control, aka gang stalking, aka I'm going to make sure I create cognitive dissonance. The devil lives in that. But you're doing the right thing for what cause? For what cause? For your benefit to live comfortable, for truths to not be revealed about who you genuinely are? Or do you want to be genuinely who you are and standing in full truth and capacity of who you are, knowing your worth, knowing your power, add text, and be blessed? Okay? So I catch you guys on the next live. I know this one is going to be beyond informational. Make sure y'all follow the TikTok. I'm not on any other platforms at this time besides TikTok and here. So there you go. Readings are open. So if you're willing to go ahead and book one for yourself, for you to get insight for your own advice, for your own guidance, for your own business, for your own mental or your security or finances, or to know if there's investigations, or if you need to know, do you have actual enemies? Do you need to know who's actually trying to take advantage of you? All those things. So when you book me, you're going to get accurate, precise about who's what, who's did what. Don't be the person, because I will call you out, that you were involved. I will call you out. But make sure you make your payments, okay? But for somebody, like I said, oh, somebody, you're going to get a good little one. Somebody would probably be willing to go ahead and pay for the reading, and however it comes in. Like for somebody, you're gonna get that like in a few minutes. Here you go, baby. But I'm booking a reading with you so I can go. For somebody, they will book a reading with you or someone, and they're just gonna try to clear themselves to fall back. For somebody, they know for a fact that they have to stay out of your energy for like a couple months, but they might want to deal with you from a distance, or you might create, unbeknownst to you, an ally. Okay. For somebody, you'll create an ally. For somebody, you know what I'm saying, it's like, you have to build that trust all over again. And some people are willing to do that. But somebody, you might get something in the next 2 hours, a wire transfer. It might be unknown. Or you might end up getting email, text message, cash app, or like a direct deposit or something within a few hours. For someone, by the 29th, you might receive something, but it's going to be something that's a little bit life-changing. But for somebody, when you get it, keep quiet. You don't have to, be excited like, oh, I received this blessing today. Shut the fuck up. Don't nobody need to know. Because sometimes, especially black folks and Spanish folks, once they know you got some money, baby, they all up in the... Somebody, if you had people hacking your Google and all this other weird stuff, that stuff is about to stop very quickly, because I'm getting someone realizing like, yeah, someone told us a lie. That wasn't the truth. For somebody, if they were telling people that you wasn't truthful, you wasn't reliable, or whatever case may be, I'm hearing someone saying, no, something about KB or KD. K as in kangaroo, D as in dog, or B as in Bravo. So someone could be with those initials that they want to send something directly to you. For somebody, you know what I'm saying, they might just want to talk to the phone and tell you some truths. And somebody just like, they know for a fact that you are very truthful. You are who you say you are. I don't call myself any of this stuff. It's just, I just want you to live in truth. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. But for somebody, you will definitely be blessed. Don't worry about the win. Just worry about the win. Don't worry about the WHEN. Worry about the WIN, because you done took a loss. But baby, it's time for a win. You may have lost a lot, but baby, I promise you, it gets better. You got to be a little bit patient. I know I've been patient, but I already know how the rules and the law of karma. I know how universal law work. I know how karmic law work. I know how God's law work. You know what I'm saying? And certain things that you just can't violate whenever you take the leap of faith to go ahead and step into spiritual and esoteric knowledge. And when you start to intel and dive into those things. So it comes to a point where you just got to make sure you do right. When you're doing right in your life, anything else that's going on around you, you can't be concerned. For me, I can't be concerned, but do I have to still be on concern? Because is there a hit on my life? Yes. But, outside of anything else, there's nothing to be concerned of, especially when you know you're doing the right thing. Why are you going to be, until you had to have them poison your food, stalk and harass you. Don't worry too much, because, what's for you is going to be for you. And when God is with you, can't nobody be against you at all. Just always know that if you're a real true believer of the Most High, of the Creator, regardless of what you believe into, the higher power, whether it's the Quran, they know for a fact what's meant for you is going to be for you. As long as you do it right and you treat people right and you do it with genuine love and respect, you're going to always get back what you need in return. And it might not be from the people who you hope it would come from. Sometimes you'll get that overabundance from people that you'll be like, dang, I didn't expect it. You could be a black person and you'll have the biggest community of every other nationality but your own. It just doesn't really matter, just long as you accept that love that God said that you put up on this earth, I will give back unto you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're going to go through long suffering. Some people will go through Job's situation. Some people will go through Noah's Ark situation. Some of you will go through Jesus' situation, aka the three kings. But I'll leave it at that.